Yeah, I think excited to be home, but we leave again tomorrow morning. I think this weekend was a good test for us. First day was rough, rocky. I liked our fight though. I think we just didn't execute very well in the circle, and we know that. But both of those games we were in it. And so I think that gives me a lot of encouragement of what we're capable of doing as a unit. I thought we bounced back nicely. I was, waiting to see what that looks like on Saturday. I thought they fought well. We had really early mornings, so there was a lot of things kind of working against us, and overall I was pleased with what we looked like both Saturday and Sunday. So, it's February, it's the second weekend of February. You play two really tough teams in one day, which is not like anything else that we do, even in postseason. Usually you have, a day and then you play another one the next day, but we're about to do it again this next weekend. So I think for me, it's, seeing how we respond about coming into a tournament. Now we're going to the other side of the country, and how we're ready to go for that first day against two really good opponents.
The four pitchers that you used the most, they all each had at least one rough patch. Mm-hmm. Was there any common denominator in their patches that they had? Yeah,
we were working behind. I think that's the biggest thing is, I think one of the things that, and we know this as pitchers, when you work ahead and then you make the hitters have to swing at your pitches versus being 2-0, 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, you're putting the pressure on the pitcher. And so, and then hitting, our game is a game of momentum. And so as soon as momentum starts to go, you start swinging freely and those types of situations. And so I think it's important for us to stay in control of the game, and how you control the game is by commanding the zone.
You talk about going through adversity throughout the season, but also some adversity that you didn't know you may face as really early start times and then really late start times this weekend. Can you kind of just talk about that being an additional hurdle here too?
Yeah, I think it's just good for us. We don't really talk about it a whole lot. Really what I want to see how they respond to it. And their energy was actually great this whole entire weekend. And so that wasn't a thing, which I was pleased with that. I think for us, it's just really being able to execute in the circle in those two games. And so, yes, now this weekend, I think one of our games, we don't start until 8:30 California time, which is 10:30 here. So Coach Harger will tell you he's in deep REM sleep at that point in time, but they're probably wide awake during that time, so it'll be us pounding the caffeine. But it's a great opportunity for us. Again, we have players that we recruit on the East Coast. We have players that we recruit on the West Coast. So it's important that we represent on both sides to make sure that we get the best Aggies here at A&M.
And then you will be facing a familiar face in Amari Harper with Oregon. Just kind of talk about her as a player and what she meant here.
Yeah, I think she's a great player. Obviously had a huge year for us last year and chose to go somewhere else. So, obviously, wish her well, but it's time for us to beat her. Yeah.
I think I know the answer for college kids, but what is harder, earlier start time or later start time?
The college girls will tell you that it's the earlier. I'm a late owl person, so just nobody else on my staff is. So, but I think for us, it's really just getting your body going at different times to be able to play that level of ball is what makes it tricky.
Really nice weekend for AK. We talked with her. Just what can you say about her and what she's brought so far this year? Yeah,
I'm just happy for her. Like that, she has worked. Like from the day she stepped foot on our campus, so last January, to today, that kid works, and she knew she wasn't going to play all year last year, didn't play all fall, and that didn't deter her from her work. And so for me, I think, that's just a life. That's who AK is. It's a life lesson. She's just going to work, and I think she's going to be successful in everything she does because she's not afraid to put in the work and get better and work on the hard things, It's easy to work on the things that you're really good at. What's hard and what makes people special is when you work on the things that are hard, and AK loves to work on the hard. And so I know that she's going to be successful in life because of who she is.
I just got here, so I don't know how much you do or don't care about rankings, but dropped a few spots, but still top 15 despite losing to this weekend. What do you think the voters like about this team?
Well, I think they like our resiliency. I think we had about as bad of a day we could have in the circle on Friday, and we were still in both of those games. And so I think you see a lot of parity in our game, and I think you saw that all this weekend. Duke came out of the gates and beat everybody, and then, obviously the last two games, had a rougher time. Mizzou, the same thing, UCLA. I mean, you could kind of go up to, and I think voters are probably like, I don't know where everybody is. There's probably a top 4 or 5 that seems to be playing really well right now, and then everybody else, it's a flip of a coin. So we just got to stay in that mix. We just got to stay in the mix. I do know that this team will get better as the year goes on, and that's what I'm really excited about.
You talk about the resiliency. Obviously, there were 3 comebacks. 2 came up short, but still comebacks are comebacks. Yep. What did you learn about the group and the resiliency this weekend? Yeah,
we're just never out of it. I think something we pride. I think every one of my programs has been that way. We've had some big comeback wins when we were at ASU. Big comeback wins, since I've been here, and we talked a lot about it today when I was on I had another media call. That is part of the thing. It's one of the things that I want our players to learn when they leave this program. If they've spent 4 years, 3 years, whatever, however many times, but you're never out of anything until it's over. And I think for me, that's something that I take a lot of pride in, is I'm going down swinging, and that's what my program's going to look like. And I don't think anybody can hold their breath. Everybody has to hold their breath until the last out, because they know the Aggies will fight until their last breath.
What about you? Kind of flipped the script, I think. You went in thinking, your pitching's pretty,
yeah,
and then you're hitting at all these holes.
Yep. And
you come back, you're batting like 381. You got hits throughout all the lineup. Hitting maybe a little bit better than you even thought it would be after 10 games?
Yeah, I think so. I think we just are doing a good job of executing our game plan. I think the fall, there was moments where we were like, oof, we got to get some pieces going, but we didn't have AK in the lineup in the fall. And so I think there's just some things that, you have Mick and Talon who are way more comfortable, whether, they were in our program for 2 months, now they've been in the program for 4 months. So I think, that piece is good. KP was one of the best players in the nation this weekend. I mean, she was electric to watch. She was, hitting, bunting, slapping, sliding around the bases. And so I think they're enjoying being around each other, and so that breeds a different level of play.
So you really had 2, because work had one.
Yeah.
First week. How do you, Trisha, not make a lot out of what is like a big weekend, because you're not going to face ranked teams almost again till you get the SEC play? Yep. You've had 3 close games against ranked teams, but you lost those. Yep. Mm-hmm. So what is the approach for this? This is a kind of a big weekend.
Yeah, it is. I think for me, it's really about what cost us in those games. And so there's some pieces of it, and that's what we're going to talk about, obviously, today in practice of. And we talked about it after the Tech game, like, hey, if we execute this and this, that game goes into extra innings, and that's what kind of game these types of games are going to produce, or these tight games. And so the team that's able to make the least amount of mistakes in those games is a team that's going to win. And so we, unfortunately, have been on the wrong end of those. So what I hope as a coach is that we continue to learn and get better and clean those pieces up and do the things that we can control. Winning and losing is a byproduct of the process and the execution of it. And so, with this team, they're learning it. And I think as us that have been around the game for so long, we know that. But they're 18 to 22. They have to live it, breathe it, feel it, all the things. And, you can get frustrated because you're like, this is what we talked about. But until they kind of go through it and live it, then they're like, oh, I get what you're saying. I'm like, yeah. So I think for me, it's going to be, can we learn from the mistakes that cost us in these 3 losses that we've had and apply them to this weekend? And we're going to have at least 4 really tough games. Can we apply those things that we've learned, and what does that look like?
How does the staff do go about preparing for 6 teams in 4 days?
Well, you saw what I look like on camera this weekend, and you're going to see what I look like on camera again this weekend. So, I think, the good thing is we don't have to prepare for Duke, but we do play 6 games, so we still have to prepare for 5. So we've met and prepared as a staff for 2 of them already today. The problem is we got home at 4 a.m. on Sunday. And I'm old and we don't bounce back quite as well as we used to. So tonight will be a late night in the office, but that's the fun thing about this. Like, I get to do this, you know. Yes, is it tiring? Yeah, but I get to go compete on the field, be around 18 to 22-year-olds, get them going. And so I just think there's a way to look at life, the glass half full and half empty, and I'm always a glass half full person. And so, you know, you're not going to spend as much time as you would for a conference game. But I do think I'm pretty familiar with Oregon just from coming from the PAC. Obviously, they're a different team. I haven't been in the PAC for a long time. The PAC doesn't even exist. I just said that out loud. But they're in the Big Ten now. Yeah, that's also sounds weird. Same with UCLA. They're also in the Big Ten now. They're always going to be in the PAC in my head. So, like, I'm familiar with their style of play. We recruited a lot of the kids at UCLA, so I'm very familiar with them. So the one good thing about having really late games is I have a lot of time during the day to prepare. So I'll be hunkered down in my room and making sure that we're ready to go. At the end of the day, we have to execute, right? Throw pitches on the edges, be able to play catch, get good pitches to hit. Like, the game never changes. So it's just how many advantages can I pick up in my preparation to help us with that process.
Matt, if I'm not mistaken, you had a little slow start in the Aggie Classic at the plate. So what about that? Was that nerves, just adjusting? Because I know you went through the fall, but what about the slow start?
Yeah, I think it was just adjusting more to seeing better pitching than we had seen in the fall. Although we did play UT, I think just adjusting to the pitchers and being comfortable and not being so uptight in the box. Yeah.
So was there any particular game or pitcher this, you know, whether there was at Clearwater, whether it was at Aggie Classic, that you thought, oh man, I got this down, this is no big deal, or I can handle this? Any particular moment?
No, I don't think so. I think in the Oklahoma State game, I felt very confident in myself in the box and trusted, you know, my preparation, everything.
Describe your hitting style to us. How, you know, what kind of hitter do you think you are, and just, you know, describe your style in the box.
I think a good power hitter. Yeah.
Just power hitter. Okay, well, that's cool.
So if you want to share the questions.
Yeah, I'm waiting. That was it. We got all afternoon.
AK, we haven't been able to talk to you really since just the first weekend. Just what's it been like finally being able to be out there with your team?
Oh yeah, it's really exciting just to be able to be on the field with everybody and getting to actually be out there doing something again, being able to make a difference. Just really exciting for me.
And then you had a big home run in that Duke game. Knowing that y'all do play them again this weekend, I imagine there's a little bit of you want to get a second chance at them.
Oh yes, want to go out there compete. It was a good game, but just want to go out there, compete, give our best, 100% every time.
For Maddie first, just coming from Hawaii, like, what is softball like on the islands, and what's that culture like, and can you tell us a story of how you eventually got to A&M? You did high school in Arizona, right?
Yes, I did. So in Hawaii, softball is not very big. Like, kids will travel to the mainland and play for like Cub teams, so it's not very huge out there yet. So I think just being able to be like a platform and showing like the kids from Hawaii that you can make out here. I didn't really play softball in Hawaii, so most of my softball career was in Arizona, but still being able to put myself out there and be an example to them has been very big for me.
So you moved, when did you move to Arizona?
I moved to Arizona when I was 5.
Oh, okay, when you were
Yeah.
5. Okay, I understand. Yeah, that's just interesting to know. Thanks.
Yeah.
Then for both of you guys, obviously you had 3 different games where there were comebacks. 2 of them came up short. The other, just what do you think it said about your guys' team that you were able to mount late comebacks?
I think we just trust each other a lot, and we know that we're prepared for the moments that we're put in, and just being able to be out there on the field together and just trust each other and fight for each other has been awesome.
Yeah, and just really wanted to compete and just go out there, and we want to win, so just going out there and compete and doing our best.
What was that first road trip like for you guys? I know Trisha said that it's it's a time that there's a lot of bonding, and a lot of our teams look back on it as being, the one they remember, so to speak. What was it like for you guys?
It was fun. It was early mornings, kind of rough, but other than that, I think it was a good opening to traveling this year.
We were with each other for a really long time. It was good bonding.
So you're a player, you lose to Oklahoma State, and you knew that was going to be a close game going in. Then you get another punch in the face, so to speak. You lose to Duke. So what was the team's attitude and dugout as you're going to the, you got a whole day, not long before you play. You're a little bit shocked, a little bit surprised, since you both are newcomers to the team. What about taking those two losses like that?
Well, losing's never fun. So obviously, like, a little mad about that, upset about that, but just being able to know that we can come back the next day and, like, we're just going to go out there and compete and fight.
Maddie, got anything to add to that?
I agree with, like, just being able to come back and fight and knowing that in the fight that we had in those 2 games, we know what we can do and we trust our abilities to continue to keep playing.
Either player again, what about looking forward to this weekend? You're playing like 3 or 4 ranked teams, big spotlight. Anything different about this week as opposed maybe to last week?
No, pretty much just going into it the same, just wanting to compete with everybody we're playing with. And just have fun with it.
Glad you're playing Duke again since...
Yes.
Yes, for sure.
So for you, AK, so having to play third and probably a catcher, but then switching, like, how's that been for you?
It's definitely new for me, but I'm going out there doing my best. It's obviously a big change going from, like, third to catching to outfield, but I'm just going out there doing my best. I'm communicating with everybody and just going out there and knowing they have my back too. So
when did you play catcher last? Did you play as a youth, or when did you play catcher?
Going into college, I was actually recruited to be a catcher. Then I ended up playing third base my freshman year of college, and then I kind of went back to catching a little bit in the fall of my sophomore year. But like throughout my whole career, I've caught like pretty much most of it. So.
Sophomore, you mean high school? Mm-hmm. Do you like favor one over the other?
Nope, just want to go out there and compete. Just want to go out there and be on the field with my team.
Would you rather catch than play outfield, or what about that?
I don't mind. I just want to be out there helping my team.
What's the toughest thing about getting back to live pitching? Playing since the whole year. Now that you got 10 games, you look pretty settled in.
Yeah, I feel like I'm pretty settled in. I feel like at the beginning it was a little nerve-wracking, a little bit of getting in my head, like, mentally, but that comes with the game. You're going to have failures along the way, but I feel like I've done a good job staying, like, a head on my shoulders, positive thoughts all around.
What about a little more responsibility batting second? I noticed you batted a little bit more down in the lineup at Florida. What about adjusting to batting second?
I really haven't, like, changed my mindset when I'm at bat, going from, like, 7th in the lineup to second, but just knowing that I'm a consistent hitter, just knowing that I have power too, just trusting myself, really.